What's up, YouTube? It is a beautiful Saturday morning here in Austin, Texas, and the topic for today is just building on this idea of getting out there and interacting with other people. So in the past, we've talked about how it's important for you to just initiate conversations with people. And I want to talk a little bit more about why you need to do that. And why it's more important now maybe than it ever has been for you to do that. The world that we live in right now is a world where it is possible for human beings to meet their need for social interaction in a virtual way without ever really interacting with human beings. So let me give you kind of an idea of what I'm talking about. Well, first let me back up and say that the need for human interaction is a real thing that is part of our species. You just naturally need to interact with other human beings. Your body needs it, your brain needs it. It is a core part of what it means to be Homo sapiens. We are a cooperating social group, species, and if you're an individual as part of that species, then you have built-in needs to interact with other people. But the world that we live in gives you the ability to kind of meet that need, and maybe just enough to meet that need to where you don't actually interact with human beings in real life, or IRL as they like to say. So the best analogy that I can think of for this is something that doesn't apply to you, hopefully, which is people who are addicted to heroin are given this substance called methadone, and methadone gives a little bit of the effects of heroin and gives them enough to calm down their body's need for it, and it helps them to disconnect from the need for that drug. Like I said, hopefully you don't have any context for this. This doesn't make any sense to you at all, but it's something for you to recognize, because what I'm saying is that when you have a virtual interaction with a human being, it's like a methadone version of interacting with human beings, versus when you're standing real life, that's like the real heroin. Am I advocating that you get on heroin? No. And if you think that I'm advocating that, then we probably need to back up to some basic language comprehension conversations. But I don't think that's the case. If we want to use something that's maybe a little bit more mild, let's talk about sleep. So we all need to sleep. And if you need a night's sleep, you're tired and it's 10 or 11 o'clock at night, you need to go to bed and sleep all night, that's the need that you have. But you could also just take a nap. So you could just take a bunch of naps and not sleep all night long. And what you'd be doing is you'd be meeting the need that your body has, but only a little bit. And you could probably do this for a while, but eventually it would catch up to you, and it certainly wouldn't be the quality of having a good night's sleep. So all of this is to say that when you interact with somebody virtually, so you're playing a video game and you've got your headphones on and you're communicating with other people in the game, your friends that are playing too, that's a low-level communication. That's like a nap. You're not getting what your body and your brain really need, which is interactions with human beings. So what does this lead to? If you have a society where everybody can get this core need as human beings met, but only partially, what you have is a situation where a lot of people just don't go through the effort of dealing with human beings IRL, because it's harder and things can go wrong and it can be awkward and you can feel bad about it, and you just don't, if you don't know how to navigate dealing with other people, you don't know how to read the expressions on their face, or you don't know how to say the kinds of things that are going to make sense to them or that are not going to offend them or they're going to make them want to engage with you versus want to get away from you. All of that stuff is messy. These are human interactions and they're messy and they take practice to learn. So what happens if you have the ability to get your need for interaction met, but only partially, but enough to sustain you? So what happens if that's the way that you live, and when you start thinking about connecting IRL with a human being, that feels like, man, things could go wrong. I didn't really like that. The person made me feel bad about myself, or I felt too nervous to talk to somebody. What this means is that you've got a path of least resistance to get human interaction, and that's video games, talking online, stuff like that. And then you've got the harder path, which is interacting in real life. But by virtue of paying attention to this channel and practicing the things that I'm telling you, you're going to become good at the IRL part of it. But everybody else is still kind of living their life. What does this mean to you? It means that you need to be the initiator of the conversations. You need to be the person that initiates the friendships. So there's an old saying that basically says, if you want friends, you need to be a good friend. And what that really means is you need to be friendly. You need to give the impression that you are the kind of person that someone would feel comfortable talking to and interacting with and having a friendship with. But in this day and age, you got a bunch of people that don't feel like initiating conversations with other people. Does that mean that they're jerks? Does that mean that, that's somebody that you don't want to hang out with? No. What it means is that that person just may not feel comfortable initiating conversations with other people because they've been getting their human interaction needs met virtually. And what that means is that you're going to have to be the person that initiates. Okay? So this is a really important detail, which is, I've definitely talked to a lot of kids that say, I think all the kids in my school are jerks. And then I'll kind of dig into it and I'll be like, well, why is that? Well, because they never talk to me. And I'm like, but do you talk to them? Who initiates conversations? And it's easy to think, well, if nobody's initiating a conversation with me, that must mean something about me, or that must mean something about them. Generally, I think what it means now is that the person's just not comfortable initiating a relationship or initiating conversations, and you can leave it at that. So all you need to do is be the person that does that. And we talked about the methods for doing that. But what I really want to get at today, in addition to just making sure that you recognize that it's going to be on you, you're going to be the person that's going to initiate the relationships. And I think that you will find that good things happen because everybody wants these relationships. Everybody wants to have these connections in real life. One of my kids spent a lot of time just really living in the video game world for a long time because he just felt uncomfortable dealing with people. But he was very comfortable in the video game kind of world, talking with all his friends online, and we worked on getting him comfortable to get out and talk to other people. And now, it's several years down the road, and we still talk about this, about how he's just like, it's so much better to have people that I can interact with out and about. We can go places, we can meet up at places, and we can do things. It's so much more fun and so much more satisfying. It meets this need. It's way better than just taking a nap. It's like getting that full night's sleep. Okay, so when you start having these conversations, you start reaching out. It's not just about having conversations. You need to find a way to spend time with people to develop the relationship. So let me give you some ideas of the kinds of things that you can do. So one of my kids is super social and always has been. He never really had to be taught to do anything. He became friends with a group of people in elementary school, with a bunch of guys in elementary school, and they are still friends to this day. And so he's in high school now. And what they did was they always wanted to get together outside of school and do things. So they would go to each other's houses, they would meet up at places, they would go see movies together, and they really forged their relationships out in the world, doing things together, even back when they were in 5th grade, where they don't care about girls or anything like that. They're just out there goofing off. And for them to be able to meet up at someone's house and have a group of them playing, man, that's fun. That's where it's at, and you need to get there. If you don't have that going on, if you don't have a crew, you don't have a group of people that you can meet up with and hang out, that needs to be your goal. Okay, that's our near-term goal, is we need to start developing a crew. Get yourself a squad of people that are your bros that you can hang out with. This is really important, and you are not going to believe how much it is going to enrich your life to have this going on. So what I'm saying is initiate conversations using the things that we've talked about in the other videos, being interested, not trying to be interesting, talking about things that are external to you and the other person while you're getting to know each other. So just bringing up, talking about the teacher, talking about a movie, talking about a video game, whatever. Try to get some conversations going about something that's not you and it's not them, but it gives you the opportunity to share things about yourself because you're sharing what you like and you're sharing your opinion, and that's important, and they're getting to do the same thing. So you're building it. And over time, once you get a little bit more comfortable and you feel like this is somebody that you like and you think it'd be cool to hang out with them, then it's time to say, hey, what do you think about getting together this weekend and doing something cool? You can keep it really open-ended like that and just get their response, because likely they're going to be like, yeah, that sounds awesome, because everybody wants these kind of relationships. Everybody. So if you're the person that's the friendly person and you're the person that's initiating this and you're the person making it easy for them, they don't have to worry about initiating the conversation and maybe having somebody, reject them or say, what's wrong with you? Why are you trying to talk to me? Or why would I ever do something like that? You're making it easy for them because you're the person that's initiating it. You're the person bringing the idea to them. Let's go and do this. Let's go meet up at this place or whatever. So that's your next goal. That's what you need to be doing, is you need to be finding people to go do things with. When I was a kid, when I was a teenager, we would go to the movies. But we would get dropped off, the movies would have like a 7-ish showing and then like a 9 o'clock showing. We would get dropped off at like 6:30, and then we would go in, buy a ticket to one movie, watch that movie, and then hang out and watch another movie. These days it's a little harder because of the whole assigned seats thing and all that, but the idea is that we would show up and there would be a bunch of people. Some of the people would be the people that I coordinated with and that we kind of agreed to meet up with, and that's like my close friends. But there'd be a lot of other people doing the same thing. And so we get to interact with the people that from our school that we would never really talk to. We made a lot of friends doing that, had a lot of fun doing that. And nowadays there are all these outdoor malls and places that are really cool kind of shopping areas where they sort of mix, like there's a Starbucks and there's a bunch of retail stores, there's restaurants and there's movie theater. Those are great places to go and do stuff like that. So hey, let's meet up at, here in Austin, there's this really cool area called the Domain. My son would meet up with his buddies at the Domain. They'd be like, hey, my mom's dropping me off at 4 o'clock. And they'd get dropped off at the Domain and they'd just goof around there for 3 or 4 hours. And they loved that. And they had such a great time doing that. And it's not, it's not dangerous really. And it's not, it's not something to be worried about. And there would always be a parent that was there around somewhere. So they'd kind of drop them off in one area and they'd kind of run around, but the parent's still there. So there's somebody looking after them. They've got supervision. But it's the getting out there and doing something outside of school so that you can start to kind of get to know people. There are all kinds of fun things you can do too that are, where it's kind of, you can also get some exercise, right? So go play some games, meet up with somebody and throw a Frisbee. Here in Austin, there's big Frisbee golf courses right downtown. That's super fun. And it's basically like you're just walking around with a couple of Frisbees, throwing it on a nice day. I mean, get outside, enjoy the environment that you live in. If you live in a place that's really, really cold, then get outside and build a snowman or whatever. I mean, have a snowball fight. Just get outside and try to get other people to come with you. Try to be the person that's coordinating. Hey, if you ask one person to go, yeah, that's really cool, then another person that you're interested in, that you'd like to hang with, then you go to them and you're like, hey, Joey and I are going to be at the Domain this weekend on Saturday. Do you want to join us? It's going to be fun. You start building a crew. Get a bunch of people together. Be the center of that. That's fine. Coordinate it. Take the responsibility or put the effort on your shoulders to make it easy for other people. You start building these relationships. I'm telling you, it will pay off. You will be extremely pleased about it. Just remember, all of this online time where you're interacting with somebody, that's the methadone, baby. You want the heroin. All right, not really. Don't show that to your parents, but you get my point. All right, get out there. Do it.